Hello everybody, and welcome again to another episode of RADTV. I'm your host, Grant Taylor, stepping in for Tom Proctor, who'll be back next month. For those of you that haven't seen the show before, RADTV stands for Rights and Democracy Television, and we do this show once a month on the fourth Friday to update you on things that Rights and Democracy is currently promoting and different campaigns that they're working on throughout Vermont and New Hampshire. So Rights and Democracy is a grassroots, people-powered organization committed to creating an independent political movement for long-lasting fundamental changes in both Vermont and New Hampshire and far beyond, eventually, someday. So tonight's show is called Change from the Ground Up. And that's in celebration of all the grassroots power that RAD's built up over the past couple of years and an ode to where we are headed next. We're talking about one of RAD's most powerful tools tonight, movement politics. And that's going to touch on a couple of different subjects that happened in the last month, things that are going on. The first thing we're going to talk about is the most recent, this past weekend was RAD's Membership Assembly and People Power Summit. And then we're going to talk about RAD chapter building that's going on in New Hampshire and in Vermont, basically all over both states, I think. And then we're also going to announce who Rights and Democracy has endorsed for president and who we're going to be putting our power behind over the next year to see them take the place of the current president. So to help us unpack all of this is three fantastic guests that have been working with RAD for different amounts of time and in different positions. First, to my right, we have regional organizer for RAD Vermont. That's Betsy McGavis.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi, thanks so much.
Welcome to the show again.
Great to be here. Yeah, I love it.
Nice, very cool. And then next down is a potential state representative from Essex, Tanya Vihovsky. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's nice to be here.
Nice. His first time on the show, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, well, cool. This will hopefully be first of many.
Absolutely.
Very cool. And then also Skyping in from New Hampshire is organizing director for Rights and Democracy in New Hampshire, Mr. Isaac Grimm. Hi, Isaac. All right. Well, we're not hearing you in here, but...
Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, there we go. Yeah,
Hi,
there he
Isaac.
is.
All right, thank you so much for having me. Sorry about the audio issue there, and greetings from the seacoast of New Hampshire. Happy to be on.
Very cool. All right, cool. Well, we're glad to have you here. Help us get through all these topics because there's so much to talk about. So I wanted to give you just both, all of you, just a quick chance to say how long you've been working with RAD and your favorite part about Rights and Democracy.
All right. I'll kick us off. So I think I first started to realize that RAD was around maybe 2 years ago when I was doing some electoral organizing in Burlington on local city council races, working with candidates who were endorsed by RAD, and I was like, okay, this is great. These people are endorsing the people that I support. And then last fall, I helped out on a state rep campaign to try and win a veto-proof majority in the state house, and we overturned a long-term incumbent Republican in Burlington, and so I did a lot of door knocking for that, did a lot of literature dropping, and then that was just as a volunteer, and then I came on in August. I came on late August as our Chittenden County and eventually Addison County regional organizer, and I'm so happy to be here. And
Awesome.
The other question was my favorite part about RAD.
Favorite thing about Rights
That's
and
hard.
Democracy.
I think it's definitely the people. Other people that that work with us, they're both employed by RAD, but also the people that are volunteers and our leaders are amazing.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So I first knew that I was working with RAD when I ran for state rep in Essex in 2016 and was an endorsed candidate and started to really work with RAD and build that power. But I actually realized down after the fact that I'd actually been involved in other ways on various RAD campaigns prior to that. I just didn't realize it. And so it's kind of a challenging question, but I knew that I was doing it. And James Haslam, who is the director, actually lives in my district, and so we've connected a lot. before I decided to run, and then once I decided to run on that, and then also building some of this movement. And my favorite part about it, like Betsy, it's the people, and it's really bringing those people together, the organizing capacity that we have when we really come together, and that energy, and what we can really get done in a way that, I mean, it's why I ran for office, because I felt like we needed more activists in seats, and like it just, the way that RAD takes activism and leverages it into places of power is just really important for me, and that's, I think, my favorite part.
Awesome. And Isaac, how about you? How long have you been working with RAD, and what's your favorite thing about the job?
Yeah, I was actually the first hired staffer in 2015, 4 years ago, and I started as a Canvas director. So my kind of introduction to RAD was helping build it and knock thousands of doors all over the state of Vermont, which was an amazing experience. And I've since kind of been in a bunch of different staff roles with the organization. And I came over here to New Hampshire last March to take on the role of organizing director. And it's been a huge learning experience and really amazing. And I would say the thing that to me is the most important and the most fulfilling and the most grounding is connecting with people and working with our members. You know, going from someone where I've just knocked on their door and don't know them and just asked them about what issues matter to them and what they're going through, to a couple months later, they're stepping up in ways that they never thought possible, and lifting up their voice and realizing their power and their agency. That to me is what this is all about. So many people are disenfranchised or left to feel like they're struggling alone or that there's nothing they can do about it. And so this organization and this movement is all about making those people who should be at the very center of the fights that we're engaged in, making sure that they can be brought into the process. So it's a privilege to just be able to actually do this and wake up every morning thinking about how we can get more people engaged and build the kind of people power we need so that our government is not just directed by big money, but is actually directed by people's needs.
Love it. So that sounds awesome. It seems like there's a pretty general love and appreciation for the people connections that get made here. So that's just like fantastic. It's definitely one of my favorite parts. I've been volunteering with RAD for like a long time now, and it's a lot of fun. So I just wanted to welcome the audience to give us a call at any time during the show if you want to speak with us live at 802-862-3966. That's 802-862-3966. So first we're going to get into a discussion about RAD's Membership Assembly and People Power Summit. This is a yearly event, I believe, that happens. And Isaac, I'd like to have you kind of start us off talking about it. I think because you've been to all of them for the past couple of years, and I wanted to see what you thought about this one in comparison. And
yeah, it was amazing. I mean, we had almost 200 people come from all over Vermont and New Hampshire. Some folks drove upwards of over 2 hours to get there. We had folks staying the night beforehand. And it was just a really powerful day. It was it's the chance that we get every year for our members to gather to make important decisions about who's going to be on our board for the coming year, about any changes that we make to the laws that we our bylaws, what kind of standards we hold ourselves up to as an organization. And we had 2 sets of workshops. We had workshops on collective liberation and the way it is that all the intersecting isms matter and are oppressing people, and how we can address that and deal with it, and how we can organize around that as primarily white states to fight against racism and sexism and all these things. There was trainings on how to use tech tools and technology and to make our organizing more powerful. There was trainings on how to just stay sane in this movement, right? Take care of ourselves and make sure that we're staying healthy and that we're taking care of our mental health, so that we're not burning ourselves out, because I know so many people care so much and have a hard time sometimes finding that balance. So there's a lot of amazing workshops. We had Nina Turner there, who was just incredible and is an amazing speaker and is so inspiring. We had some of our legislative leaders there to give to kind of talk about the lessons that they could in part as people who have gone from being activists to being legislators and being champions in the state houses. So we had Tim Smith there, who's a state representative from Manchester. We had Kaya Morris, who's a former state representative from Bennington and is just an amazing leader. And Becca Ballant, the Senate Majority Lead, who's also just an incredible person. Dave Zuckerman came through and spoke. We had video from Ayanna Presley, who was supposed to come and unfortunately had a constituent pass away, and so she had to be at their service, but spoke about some really amazing criminal justice reform that she is putting out in a bill of her own. And it was just like a great opportunity for folks to connect and build relationships across both states, for people to meet that are in our different regions, helping build with our chapters to meet and build those relationships and talk about what they're going through and help, harvest lessons together. And the space was beautiful. It was the School for International Training in Brattleboro, and it was just this gorgeous location. It was a really amazing day overall. I was really happy to be a part of it, and felt a lot like our prior membership stuff.
Right on.
It's always just a really good chance for us to get together, to recharge, and to build for the coming year, because the coming year is pretty damn important, I would say. So,
Very, very important. That's fantastic. So 200 people, and so Betsy and Tanya, you guys were both there.
Yep.
Yeah. What'd you guys think about it?
I mean, that's the first membership assembly I have gone to. The last one was right after my campaign, and I was resting, sleeping, recovering. But it was just really amazing. It was amazing to connect with people. I was really excited. We've been really trying to mobilize lots of different communities, and one of the things that was really exciting for me, from Essex, it's close to a 3-hour drive, and including James and myself, there were 8 people from Essex that got up on a 11-degree Saturday morning and drove 3 hours to connect and build this movement together. And so that was really exciting to see those people that were that committed to come that far from my community that I've been connecting with and really trying to build that with, was just absolutely exciting. I mean, Nina is always a highlight anywhere she is.
She's a reason to go.
She's amazing. I mean, I definitely used the fact that she was going to be there a little bit to draw some of those 8 people out. So Nina was definitely fantastic. And just having that sense, for me, coming together and having that shared vision is where I draw some of my energy to keep fighting. It's events like that, physically they tire me out, but they fuel me to continue emotionally, because it is really hard to keep going when it seems like every day we wake up and something else terrible has happened or there's something else to fight against. So it's helpful to come together and remember that we're not in it alone.
We got a group of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think to echo kind of the same things of listening to the different speakers, like Nina, but also Kaya Morris and Becca Ballant, other people that have gone through this and have been in this fight for a long time, and to hear their stories and how they stay motivated. So I felt like it was both a tiring day, and that it was a long drive in the morning and a long drive back home, but it was both. It was also a really, really energizing day, and the drives were really fun. It was we have this new Burlington chapter that's getting going, and we had a full carload of members, and so on the way down we kind of got to know each other, and on the way back we were scheming of how we're going to bring all of this back to Burlington, and how we're going to keep building people power and make change here. So it was great.
It's almost like team building, like a ropes course or something.
Yeah.
Here, you guys ride 6 hours in the car together
right.
See how you guys do.
Right.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you mentioned the chapter, the Burlington chapter, and then that helped get the people together to go join you down there. And I know that kind of RAD's trying to build chapters all over, right, Vermont and New Hampshire. We'd love to have you, elaborate a little bit more on Burlington's chapter, and then Tanya, you can talk all about Essex, and then Isaac, you can let us know what's going on in New Hampshire, hopefully.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Totally. Rights and Democracy is kind of moving towards more of a chapter model of having, because we have 2 pretty rural states, and Burlington is the least, Chittenden County is the least rural of those, but in general, having regional chapters where people in rural places can come together and talk about how we can make change in our communities, and making sure that those chapters are sustainable and are going to be around and aren't just a group that's coming in and having a rally and then never showing up again. That's not going to make any long-lasting change. That's not going to build the relationships we need. So having sustainable chapters, having real community input in things, and making it meaningful. And so we have chapters kind of across Vermont. Bennington has been our longest kicking chapter, and we have a Rutland organizer, Liz, who is incredible, and she's doing great work in central and southern Vermont, and then I'm up here in Chittenden County, and so Tanya and I have been both working on the Burlington and Essex chapters. In Burlington, we had our first meeting last week, and it was maybe last week, 2 weeks ago, and it was great. There were a lot of folks there really excited to talk about how we organize on a statewide level and how we push our state legislators, but also what can we do in Burlington. There's so much going on in Burlington, and there's so much room for more people to be involved in that process, and folks are really, really excited about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the really exciting things for me, I went to high school in Essex, so I've got some longstanding familiarity with that community, both as a young person and a slightly less young person. But one of the things that I got really excited about is, and I know happens in Essex a lot, is we sort of feel like everything happens in Burlington and we're just out there doing our own thing. And it's been really exciting to have something happening in Essex. It's the second largest municipality in Vermont, and there's like nothing happening there. And so it's really exciting to be jumping in and organizing people in Essex and really hearing how much they really do want to be involved. I think when I launched my 2016 campaign, nobody thought a progressive could win in Essex because it's viewed as this sort of like out there place. But what I realized is that there's all these people that just don't know where to tap in and connect. And so getting to build the chapter in Essex has been really fun. We've done some really great stuff. We had our first chapter meeting back in October. And shortly thereafter, we did a healthcare panel where we screened the interviews with the presidential candidates on healthcare, and we had a panel of activists and legislators conversing with the community about what we're doing in Vermont and what we do at the national level and how to engage. And I think one of the most important things that came out of that is everyone's like, well, how do we get this information? Like, why don't we already know this stuff? And so just really seeing that build. We have another meeting coming up on the 7th where we're going to do some legislative advocacy training and get people comfortable telling their story so that we can mobilize a group to go down and push for bold change and not just easy to pass change.
Yeah. Fantastic. That's Essex.
So New Hampshire, I imagine folks watching this are likely not people from New Hampshire. So just to give a little context, there's some similarities. We have Democratic majorities just as of last year. Before then, it was all Republican dominated. But we still have a Republican governor, Chris Sununu, who I would say is worse than Phil Scott in that he is like visited Trump more than any other governor in the entire country. Absolutely sucks up to Trump. Has vetoed everything decent and holy. Like he vetoed 57 bills this year.
Wow.
Stopped stopping bills in their tracks, like trying to raise the minimum wage even to $12 an hour. He vetoed paid family medical leave. He vetoed a number of renewable energy bills that were nothing close to even looking like the Green New Deal, but that were at least okay steps forward. So what we're up against in New Hampshire is very real. We were able to get majorities, but there are some serious roadblocks to us making change, and also like it's very much contested here in terms of the power of like the kind of conservative movement and the progressive movement. Donald Trump lost in New Hampshire in 2016, but only by 2,700 votes, and that's out of a state of 1.2 million people. So there's a lot of strength of those kind of right-wing ideas, the anti-immigrant scapegoating of blaming poor people and thinking that the government is the root of all of our problems. So there's a lot of work we have to do in building solidarity of people in our communities. There's a lot of work that we have to do to get those folks who actually agree with us on values but are surrounded by this kind of media hype and this ideology of live free or die. So a lot of what we're doing is building from the ground up, building those relationships and building these local chapters. So we have chapters right now in Manchester and Nashua, which are the two largest cities in the state. There's some amazing folks leading on work in those cities around housing, around healthcare, around public education. We have recently brought on an organizer in Sullivan County, which is one of the more rural counties in the state, and that's kind of in the western part of New Hampshire, very close to like White River Junction and south of there, kind of below the Upper Valley. We've had longest standing and strongest chapter is the Monadnock Progressive Alliance, which is kind of centered in Keene, but is the larger Monadnock region. And they just do incredible work. They're pulling off their own forums and rallies, and they endorsed a candidate running for mayor, who unfortunately was narrowly defeated by a young, sort of charming young Trump. Not really a young Trump, like a young Sununu.
A charming Trump.
I would say he's like a Trump. He's putting together coherent sentences. He's
Oh my God.
uh,
Bar so low.
and then we have another chapter emerging in the Lakes region. So there's folks who are kind of building around the issues that matter to them in these local areas. We've thrown down some of the local elections. We endorsed Joyce Craig, who was running for re-election in Manchester against Victoria Sullivan, who's a hardline right-wing Republican.
Cool.
And she won by 57%, so that was fantastic. And one thing that I would just highlight that really kind of stuck out as an amazing story was about a week after we brought on our new Sullivan County organizer. Her name is Allie Brokenshire. The Republican committee in that county was planning on doing a fundraiser, and they invited Robert Spencer, who's a well-known, notorious anti-Muslim Islamophobe. He's literally banned from the UK right now, and he is just, admits to just being an anti-Muslim racist. And so Allie immediately connected with a lot of other community members who were concerned about this. There was a Muslim family who lived nearby who was really scared about this. They organized a protest. They drove tons of calls to the facility, the venue that was going to do this. They got it canceled. And then the Republican committee tried to go do it at another place in Claremont. They did the same thing. They organized a protest. They drove calls. They got that event canceled. And then through all of this, the chair of the Republican committee in Sullivan County, who was also like this right-wing shock jock radio host, got kicked off his show. His show got canceled, and also got kicked off the Republican committee because he was just throwing out these vitriolic, attacks and just swearing at people and saying all these terrible things. And just through this organizing and through connecting with people in the community, we shut down these events that were just highlighting hate and making people that have every right to be concerned really uncomfortable. And also just it was an opportunity for people to see what can be accomplished together when we actually stand together, when we organize quickly. So that was just something that happened recently that really showed to me the power of organizing locally that I wanted to lift up, and it was really a success.
We're gonna ask you to make sure you share the episode once we get it recorded and live for everybody to watch a recorded version. That you share it in New Hampshire there, because we want to inspire people. Not just in New Hampshire, but if you're able to see this from the Northeast Kingdom or somewhere else, that you can organize with some people in your area to create some real change for yourselves and for your community members. So we just have about 2 minutes left, and I wanted to make sure that we announced that Rights and Democracy had a member vote to endorse Senator Bernie Sanders for president. And we're going to be putting our energy around that. I was quite happy to hear that, but also I was wondering, Isaac or Betsy, do you guys know how many people voted in that vote?
I don't.
Almost half of our membership. There was hundreds of people. I can't remember them.
All right.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm on the leadership committee with RAD, and so I was part of that process as well, and I can't remember the exact number, but I do know that we were really pleased with the turnout. I think it was close to 47 or 48% of our membership. It was a good percentage.
That's good. So we like to see that participation, amongst our members.
63% voted to endorse Bernie out of everyone who voted, so it was great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Through a ranked choice voting system.
Ranked choice. That sounds good. Well, we'll probably get about a minute left. And we just wanted to talk about just some stuff that's coming up.
I can talk about a few things.
Cool.
We got some chapter meetings coming up in Bennington on November 27th, Rutland on December 5th, Essex on December 7th, and in Burlington December 11th. And we also have our Human Rights Award celebration, which is going to be, I think it's going to be in Montpelier at Bar Hill Distillery, and that's going to be on December 10th. So it's going to be a great day celebrating some local leaders who are doing really good work in this community.
Awesome.
And then our next episode of RADTV is going to be December 27th, maybe.
Yeah, we will hopefully record a show and we'll have them play it on December 27th. You know, because I don't think anybody's going to be working there. But have a great holidays, everybody. Thanksgiving and all that, and peace.
Thanks all.
Bye. Thank
Bye,
you.
Isaac.
Thanks, Grant.